Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Alvarez. Welcome to the Odyssey DTS Sound Space. I'm very excited to be here. Please welcome Cold War Kids.
This song's called What You Say.
Love me now. All those times when I imagine what it'd be like to have my freedom, not be so uptight, live my best life. Oh, what a fool I was only dreaming. All day
I can't walk away.
But all I ever really wanted was you. Even how could you treat me? Even still I don't belong. I never had it easy. Maybe that's what made me strong. You grew up so different. Chose you in the ground. Thought you could ignore me, but I keep on hanging around. I can't walk away. No, I can't walk away. I can't walk away. No, I can't walk away. I can't walk away. No, I can't walk away. I can't walk away from who I used to be. Go ahead and test me. See if I can be alone. Nothing can impress me. I'm squeezed blood from stone. The worst thing that can happen is stand up for what I believe. And everyone that I love turns away from me. I can't walk away. No, I can't walk away. No way. No, I can't walk away. I can't walk away. No, I can't walk away. No way from who I used to be. You got so far from where we started. We almost hit the bottom. All I ever really wanted was you. You got so far from where we started. We almost hit the bottom. All I ever really wanted was you. What's this feeling of belonging? This is nothing like before. Like a fever, you keep calling. How much further can we go? I can't walk away. No, I can't walk away. I can't walk away from who I am today. I can't walk away. Can't walk away. Can't walk away from who I'm supposed to be. We got so far from where we started. We almost hit the bottom. All I ever really wanted was you. We got so far from where we started. We almost hit the bottom. All I ever really wanted was you. Can't walk away from where we started. Can't walk away. Waiting around to dance, don't wanna talk. Already know what I want. You got big plans, but you never take a chance. Where you stop, wondering who you are. Showed your back, show me yo. Oh, you down to get serious? You're wild out, coast to coast. Make it last if it's taking slow. I can't stand waiting around to dance. When will you stop? Look at the one you got. You say you want to change this world. Do you really believe in magic? But you can only change yourself. Don't sit around and complain about it. All of your friends, they got the nicest things. Travel a lot, don't understand their job. In some space, you're slipping right through my hands. When will you stop wondering what they thought? I showed you mine, show me yours. Oh, you down to get spiritual? Flying high, I'm confused. You weren't always dripping in jewels. All of your friends, they got the nicest things. Just don't expect
This song is called Regret, Regret.
Funny thing to find you here. Almost could pretend like you're not real anymore, and I don't even miss you. I'm not gonna think about you anymore. Oh, I'm not gonna wonder how you're doing anymore. Now that you're gone, I was wrong and I needed to. Now I realize it. I was wrong and I needed to. Will you take me back into your arms? And you're don't want you fading from me. There are two sides to this coin. Regret, regret, I can't live with regret. Regret, regret, won't be living with regret. Regret, regret, I can't live here. Regret, regret, can't be living with regret. Regret, regret, I won't be living regret. Regret, regret, I can't live here with regret. Regret, regret, I can't live here with regret. But I was wrong.
play one more for you. This song is called First.
Cheated and lied, broken so bad, you made a vow, never get mad. You played the game, oh it's unfair. They're all the same, who can compare? First you lose trust, then you get worried. Night after night, bar after club, jumping like flies. Who woke you up on the front lawn? Sprinklers turned off, it's not your house. Where'd you go wrong? First you get hurt, and you feel sorry. Flying like a cannonball, falling to the earth. Heavy as a thunder when you hit the dirt. I was not the lucky one, I did not deserve. When you felt me everywhere, you were at first. First you get hurt, you feel sorry. Comes a time in a short life to turn it around, let it rewrite. Call it a dark night of the soul that took you no place. Gravity's pull, first you get close, then you get worried. Flying like a cannonball, falling to the earth. Heavy as a feather when you hit the dirt. I was not the lucky one, I did not deserve. You felt me everywhere, you were there first. First you get hurt, you feel sorry. Going silent, the silent treatment. It's not inviting now. Don't deny what you made. You get excited, you get excited. You gotta feel it up. At least you can pretend you wanna light it. You wanna light it, you wanna light it now. The candle from both ends. You get excited, you get excited. Hey! Flying like a cannonball, falling to the earth. Heavy as a feather when you hit the dirt. I was not the lucky one, I did not deserve. You felt me everywhere, you were there first. Flying like a cannonball, falling to the earth. Heavy as a feather when you hit the dirt. I was not the lucky one, I did not deserve. You felt me everywhere, you were there first. First you get close, then you get worried. One night, the kingdom won't go fast. First you get close, then you get worried. One night, the kingdom won't go fast. First you get close, then you get worried. One night, the kingdom won't go fast. First you get close, then you get worried. The kingdom won't go fast. You wanna light it, you wanna light it, you wanna light it now. A candle from both ends. You wanna light it, you wanna light it, you wanna light it now. A candle from both ends.
All right. Hi, everyone. And thank you for joining us. We just watched Cold War Kids perform, and my heart is still going pitter patter. I got a little emotional. I'm here with Nathan from Cold War Kids. Hi, and thank you.
Hi. Thank you.
How
Good to see
did that feel? Because you haven't performed in front of anybody, anything in quite some time. Granted, we go back way back, but how was that for you?
So fun. We just rehearsed for like a lot of weeks getting ready to go on this Kings of Leon tour. So we are more like primed and in shape and ready to go than we've ever been. And we have so many songs, and we have so many kind of like even little medley moments, all kinds of things we've never done before. So it feels good. It feels normal-ish.
Normal-ish. Speaking of normal-ish, so we've known each other for so long. You've been family for so long. We knew each other, I'd like to say, in the old world, and here we are in the new world. You know, we could sit here and talk about how crazy that life is, but I think we can also look at it like it's a privilege that now we know two sides of life, like what was and what is. And with that said, you've been in a band now for 15 plus years. Did it ever start to feel like a job? If you look at it through the lens of before this world got crazy.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we're lucky, Moss and I especially, we were, I think, 25 when we started touring, and we had jobs, and we had graduated college together. So I think we had this sense of being all in with the band and touring. It was it was that thing where we had friends that were like, oh, it's, you know, playing music is not a job. And it became, I went the opposite way with it, where I was like, it's the hardest job you could ever have. You have to be so all in on it. So, yeah, I mean, I think I've thought that way for a long time. I will say that even there was a point during COVID, like months ago, where I was talking to my mom on the phone, and she was like, do you think it's time to start maybe trying to look for other like work? And I was like, what? Like, this is, you know, like, but that kind of sense that like, is it ever gonna change? Is it ever gonna open up? And like, I mean, everybody's different jobs really had different, but like, yeah, I mean, it got a little like bleak for a while there, but like, I think I always, you know, we knew that we'd have our moment, and for me, it was a lot of just like trying to embrace the moment that we were in. For me, I have 3 kids at home. Wow. So like trying to treat that, like I always kind of thought like, will there ever be a time where I just take like a year off and just be home? And so I tried to really just embrace it for what it is, take the silver lining of it. And we were in the studio a ton, and we wrote and recorded a ton of music. So I'm like, it's all good.
I think about like the artists all the time, and how you went from touring, recording and doing your thing to all of a sudden you had to be human, let's say, like one of us, and you had to be home and maybe do dishes and laundry or whatever. And was that humbling at all, or was it like a nice change of pace?
I think both. Yeah, I think like it definitely is true that it was like, because little things like we have an amazing crew of people that do so much for us, and like strictly for all the, you know, protocols, like you can't have as many people around. You have to do things yourself. And I think there was something very necessary about that for me. It felt a little bit like going back into the studio and just trying to find what feels good, and like kind of, for me, this music that is even after New Age Norms 3 that we're working on, it's just like, you know, the kind of a sense that like we don't know what this music is for, and it's like it's not going to come out anytime soon, but we're in this season of life that is unpredictable, and just like try to keep your head down and keep working.
Let's talk about New Age Norms, because my goodness, first of all, what gave you when did you decide, hey, it's a great idea to do a trilogy? Because that is that's ambitious, you know, because it takes a lot of follow through and whatnot. Did you have it all planned out the second that you put out number 1? Did you know what you wanted it to look like?
Not at all.
Oh, cool.
I knew like that this was, so let's see, now like I guess 2.5 years ago maybe, that kind of had the idea. We had done the LA Divine record, and just felt like a new season. We were a new label, AWOL, like, but also just like a sense of we need to. There's a few things I loved. This was the summer that we were on tour, that Kanye had put out all these different 8-song records that were like Kids See Ghosts in his own record, and Tiana Taylor and Pusha T, who I have a t-shirt right now.
Nice.
But I just loved that size of record, and the idea of like volumes and doing them with different producers. So those became like the parameters for it. And New Age Norms 1 we did with Lars Stauffer's, who we've worked with a ton before. New Age Norms 2, which we finished like kind of right at the beginning of lockdown, right as lockdown was happening. We finished like, you know, in that time. We did with producer Sean Everett, and that was a totally different experience and a totally different sonically record, and really happy with that.
I want to talk about I think we should give it some space, because New Age Norms 1 happened, and you got to tour with it, and you got to play it front to back, right? So it had its moment. New Age Norms 2 came out August 2020, and most people, you know, it's not that they weren't connected to music, but people were very preoccupied trying to survive whatever was happening in the world. And I had read that you said it was your best record before I heard it, and I was like, this guy, like, what has he told the others? Because you have really solid records. And then I finally heard it, and Nathan, it truly is freaking phenomenal.
Thank you.
It's I'm not shocked because you're incredible musicians and you have your own sound. You're soulful and thoughtful, like all kinds of incredible things. But there's something different about this record. Even the way you sing is larger than life. So I want you to tell me whatever you can about New Age Norms 2, because it's, I think, my favorite record that I've heard in a long time. I would say top 3 for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, New Age Norms 2, this is now, it's crazy that it came out last year. I mean, and I think even as we were releasing it, we knew this is probably going to fly under everyone's radar. And there's, 2 ways to look at it. It could be like, this is, we should wait, which I know would have been a bad idea because it wouldn't have made all this, it wouldn't have worked, finished the third one. Yeah, I think sonically a lot. It's like this dude, producer Sean Everett. He was simultaneously working on this like a Julian Casablancas Void record and a War on Drugs record and a Killers record, and we were just like hustling, getting our record done. But we had just a very like special connection with him, with just like kind of there's a certain like aesthetic of kind of like a little Manchester 80s dancey music that we were listening to and really leaned into with this that was very different than other stuff we've done.
Ceiling Fan surprised me.
Yeah.
Ceiling
There's
Fan
a lot more
got me.
almost weird there's so much music that we listen to on tour. The range is crazy from just whatever old blues and reggae to like, specifically this scene of like Stone Roses type of like from Bauhaus, like a lot of things that are very, coming back in right now that we've always loved, that kind of felt more like leaning into a darker, weirder space, and just not trying to clean it up, and I think like that's the record we got. I think there was something really about like allowing the experience to be the record that we get. And that's, it's a special one. I'm really proud of it.
It's a really special one, and not being able to tour for it, I would feel frustrated. I would have loved to hear that front to back, like with number 1. How do you think you're going to, because I really do think, like, listen, you don't have to listen to me, but I really think it deserves its moment. It's that epic. Will you sew in some of the songs when you're touring for number 3? Is it going to be like a best of? Like, do you feel like it's had its proper moment?
No, not at all.
It's that good that I want to keep talking about it because I really do think it's such a rock solid record.
Yeah. No, it definitely didn't get its moment. And again, it's like, it's almost like a mentality to, I don't know, like I think sometimes like maybe like an athlete or something, there's something about like, working really hard and training, you go and like strike out in a game or something, like you can't think too much about what you wish would have happened. And I think in order to move forward, and like a lot of the artists we love, like I love Bob Dylan. He has put so many records out, and the time that he's touring, the record he put out, he's already probably mostly done with the next one. It makes for a way less interesting like interview, I think, in a way, to have moved on past something when you should be talking about it. But it also it's hard for me to, I guess I have this like belief that focusing in on that thing as it's happening and then moving past it is I really hope people get to dive into it and appreciate it for what it is. But the great thing is music. It's like it will be whatever it is. It will, it is what it is. Like there's nothing. Yeah, it will find you, and like your enthusiasm for it, like will
pique other people's
reach,
curiosity if you haven't heard it. So at least I've done my part because I really do believe like.
Yeah,
it's magnificent.
I love that.
It's magnificent, so I wanted to honor that.
Yeah.
And now I want to talk about your getting back on the road. And I just watched your YouTube like mini documentary about life on the road. And there's one part that you start talking about how you're in a room full of people, and sometimes you space out because a song will come to you. Do you think now, because you've been off the road so long, you're just going to be so ever present because you missed it for so long? Yours is gonna be so in the moment.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I thought a lot about like how's it going to be different, and yeah, I wonder. I do think I'll probably generally be more present, but also like, you know, I don't know. I get. It's a funny job to choose for somebody who like I will definitely get anxiety around large groups of people for a long time. Like I'm an introvert. I get recharged by being by myself. If I could literally like, you know, leave a party for 1 minute and come back, like I'd be a different person. I'm like recharged and I can engage, but I'm like a one-on-one person.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, like I love the chaos of tour. I love being in a room full of people like yelling and spilling beer and, you know, like, and talking about everything happening in the world, talking about like the new record that came out today, the new movie they saw last night, the friends that are doing the
all
thing.
in pockets.
I love
you can
it.
hear
I
a little bit
live
of
for that.
everything.
Like I love that energy because it's very intense, and it also is like, I mean, to not feel that for like a year and a half, where it's like, because everything, like so much of who I am comes from that energy. That's what a band is, you know, when you have like people like this guy's talking about, you know, this record that came out and it drives me nuts because I know he loves it and I hate it, but I'm, you know, whatever it is, like it's just, there's always something going and there's always something to react to. So to have this year and to not have that, it's crazy. So I mean, I definitely appreciate it more than ever.
I can only speak from a fan's point of view, but not having those primitive moments where I can just stand in a room and scream songs out and have that release, missing that source it's been crippling. But do you still feel the same way after all these years when you see the audience sing back to you? Does that still affect you? Because I think
even
being in the
this
audience
year
is overwhelming.
for me, like it's definitely a reset for me. Like I'm going to feel differently about that now, less likely to move on to the next thing or like, how was that show? Let's get in the bus and go, you know, but it's more of a sense of like, definitely just appreciation and, yeah, it's different. Like we were talking, there's like Lollapalooza. I'm watching it, and like, there's something, you know, we're always like, irreverent to the familiar, you know, like when you're always in a venue, always at a festival, like sure there's artists that you love, but I'm not trying to go see everybody. I'm not trying to like you know, be everything to everyone. Like I got to stay sane. I got to do my thing. But like how like it was almost like this innocent feeling of watching like Lollapalooza and be like, damn. I love this. This is like my home. And like, I didn't feel like that really before. I would feel more like I love performing, but you know, like the culture of everything that comes with it, it's so all consuming that like, you know, I need like a little protection from it. But now I'm like, yeah, it's interesting for me to go like, oh, I want that. That is like where I belong. So it's cool.
What is the driving force between New Age Norms 3?
It was a lot of, let's see. So that was truly in the season of COVID, you know, like really, really in the, it's funny, like for people that sort of made like COVID records that were like low key and I don't know, more, leaning in to the feeling of being alone and all that. I was like, I hate that. I don't want that. I want to create a sound and a feeling that, you know, is the best Cold War Kids record. I don't really want to like dwell on isolation, just all that stuff, you know, like I didn't feel that. And so I felt like leaning into making the best songs that we could and having, you know, us be present. Of course, it's like so much work to get everybody there, and everybody has questions about what's appropriate and what's, you know, and it's all necessary and good, but exhausting. And so the fact that we got to finish, I mean, finished the next batch, New Age Norms 3, 8 more songs that is now coming out, this single, What You Say. Like,
You
it all
accomplished-
came from that space. Yeah, we accomplished a lot.
You accomplished what you just said. You wanted to kind of open it up, because I did notice even my friends were making playlists that were all songs about being alone and not being able to breathe. I'm like, I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And I heard What You Say. My friend, our music director, actually played it for me in the studio, and I was like, it felt like an open window. It felt like
Yeah.
somebody opened the window
Let's
and let
enjoy.
the air in, and
Yeah.
it feels so good. It's like a modern day. I don't want to call it a disco. I don't know what it is, but it makes me so happy.
Great.
So you accomplished that,
Good.
and I can't wait to hear the record. What did you do to make contact with your fans during this time?
For a while there, I was doing a lot of just like acoustic things in MySpace at home, playing. Like, I think I was very overwhelmed by, like, we have our fan Zoe, who is, shout out to Zoe, super fan. She at one point, when I was doing these like IG live things, being really janky about it, where, you know, just go live when I felt it, set the thing up, my phone's maybe falling down, and people
You didn't
are
have a ring
trying to
light, yeah.
read people's, and they're like requesting old songs that I haven't even thought of for 10 years, and really just trying to run with it in this way that was definitely different and like kind of uncomfortable, but like, who cares? You know, like this feeling, that was the thing to me about all this, that was like being I felt more comfortable being sort of like transparent about, like, even for myself, there's something by living in the moment all the time, and like, we have 9 records. We've been doing this for 15 years.
Yep.
All these realities definitely hit me more than ever, and people talking about songs that I'm like, and really, you know, being able to reflect a little more on like what was happening then, you know, what that song is about or whatever, and trying to play some of it. So what it became was that I'd play something and get to the second verse and be like, and so, you know, faking it and then asking somebody on Instagram, like, can somebody holler this
Remind
line
me.
at me? And then somebody, no. And it was fun. But then Zoe made this whole book of all my lyrics, of like, you know,
wow.
all the records and all these EPs we've done, and then even like a separate book of all these covers we've done. And that, it was weird seeing that thick paper. Was like, whoa, like, I'm a songwriter. I've been writing these songs forever. There's so many of them. It's crazy. Like, I don't think of myself that way, because I think if I did, it would be too...
Well, no, and you're in it. You're the creator. Like, it's such an interesting thing what different experiences we have. You're creating that, and like, we're so hungry for your lyrics. Like, some of your lyrics help us navigate our lives. Isn't that blow your mind?
Totally.
It's
very special.
And then there's
very
people
cool.
like Zoe who dedicates all this extra time because of how much the things that you're just writing and not even thinking about. You're just writing. She dedicates all of this time because your writing means that much to somebody in the world.
It's
And there's
amazing.
thousands of Zoes.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's so
Pretty
cool.
mind-blowing if you think about it.
It is. And it is more special now to me than it was before, I think, because of this time and having the distance from it. And like, you know, every band guy is like, I don't know, it's music is funny, rock and roll music, like, you want to be cool. You want to be like distant, you know, like, no, you don't want to be too eager to sort of like connect in that way. But I guess there is and of course a younger generation, that's all they've ever known, is connecting in that way with their fans all the time, being so plugged in. So it's definitely a huge luxury to be what we are, where we sort of like, whether that means just like we've made it. I have all that I need to keep writing songs and feeling my feelings and connect, like play them and perform them and have people, you know, relate to them. Like, that's all I need. So it is like a luxury, but also like a responsibility in a way, knowing like taking the time, like it's almost like taking a compliment, how somebody like,
Yeah.
you can let that bounce off of you and go like, Oh, thanks. Cool. You know, and
Or you can sit with it for a second.
yeah, you sit with it for a
Yeah.
second, which feels like a little weird.
Feels totally
it's different.
weird.
Yeah,
it feels
so
totally weird. It feels like maybe I shouldn't be doing this, but no, I think we should take
Yeah.
a compliment. I think at this point it's safe to say that you can call your mom and be like, "We're good.
yeah,
I'm good, Mom. We don't have to worry about it."
right.
So
I'll give you her number. You can tell her later.
I will. On
I'm
that
too mad
note,
about
I
it.
will. You've got a huge tour coming up with Kings of Leon. We'll get you here in September at the Forum, which
Yeah.
I think I've decided through quarantine it's my favorite venue in all of Los Angeles. And then you've got the new record coming out, and you're hitting the road. So
Yeah,
you're on the path back to normal, as they say.
yeah,
And also, last thing I want to say is you guys are effortless. The soul and the energy that you bring to every room, every song, it's effortless for whatever that's worth.
I'm happy to hear that.
All
I
right.
like it. Yeah, that's how I want to be. Yeah, thank
All
you.
right. Nathan, thank you very much for joining us. I'm Nicole Alvarez.